When we awoke on day 7, the weather was looking more promising. Where I moored last night placed us between the River Trent and the Trent and Mersey Canal. A beautiful spot, just a finger of land between them for a towpath. As our setting was becoming more rural, our Wi-Fi was becoming a real problem for Carl, so we decided not to travel too far today. The aim was for about 7 miles to get to a place called Weeping Cross.
Having spent almost a week now working for the boat, it was probably worth just reflecting on what that experience was like. I think for my colleagues, they found it fascinating with the scenery going past as I would sit there in various meetings, both with our internal teams and with our external partners. For me, it was a very relaxing place to work, and it allowed me to focus and be incredibly productive, so I definitely recommend it to anybody if you're thinking about doing it.
Around about mid-morning, I decided to explore more of the area and moved the boat up to Great Haywood and went for a stroll, discovering this beautiful bridge, probably my favourite. It's called the Essex Bridge, but miles from Essex. If anybody knows why it's called this, I'd love to know.
While I was on a lunch break, we took the opportunity to move the boat up to the facilities point at Great Haywood. Having got rid of the rubbish, and with the help of the wind, we turned the boat onto the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal, heading down to Tixall Wide for the afternoon. At Tixall Wide, the canal opens up into a lake-like feature. This was thought to have been created in 1771 when the canal was built, on the express request of Thomas Clifford, the landowner. He wanted to be able to see the lake from the house with a beautiful uninterrupted view. Today it's a very popular spot with both boaters and walkers alike. My last meeting finished at 5:45 and I was free to start my holiday. So we took the lines off the boat and went for a lovely evening cruise for a few hours before dinner. After a lovely early evening cruise, we found this spot at Radford Meadows Nature Reserve around about 8:30 in the evening. It was really good to have finished work for the week and very excited about a couple of weeks holiday. This local swan took quite an interest in the boat. I think he was hoping for some dinner. I peeked out of the windows on day 8 and found the sun was shining. Checking the weather forecast, it was looking like it was going to be a really good day, so I was looking forward to a day's cruising. We kind of wanted to do about 18 miles. Thought it would be nice to get maybe past Wolverhampton and up onto the Staffy Canal. There's a few interesting features along this route, like the very narrow deep cuttings just as you get to Wolverhampton itself. This section of canal sports 12 locks and with the increase in traffic, I knew it was going to be not too difficult really. It's a funny thing, as the traffic builds up, you get more locks in your favour, more people coming down, makes your life a lot easier. So I kind of thought it might be quite easy as far as that was concerned. But first, I did know we were getting quite low on diesel. We'd use about 3/4 of a tank, so I kind of was looking for a marina to fill up, and also we needed a pump out. The boat was starting to lean a tiny bit, so that will be my priority for the day. After about an hour of cruising, we passed through the lovely little village of Acton Trussell. I was starting to feel a bit peckish, so we looked for somewhere to pull over and have breakfast. When we set off again, as predicted, a lot of the locks were in our favour, a lot of oncoming traffic making our life a lot easier. Pulled over for a diesel and a pump out at Everton Marina. Unfortunately, we didn't realise they only take cash, and we didn't actually have that much cash on us. So we plumped for the pump out, and we thought we'd just risk the diesel for a bit longer. It looks like a really nice marina though. We watched a boat being launched down the slipway there. They've got quite extensive moorings. A really nice place to be. More boats coming down, making our life easier, only this one made a small error, went down the lock with fenders out on both sides and got firmly stuck. A little bit of pulling and pushing with ropes, and a guy who went over and tried to fish the fenders out, and we finally got the boat out and moving, and we were able to get on our way. I think that's an easy mistake any of us could make. With more locks in our favour, as the canal started to pull away from the M6, we thought now would be a good place to find somewhere for lunch. So we moored up in a nice little spot. It was quite close to the motorway, you could hear it in the distance, but it was still quite a nice picturesque place. Good place to stop for a bite to eat. Got underway again and passed through Gailey Junction. Just beyond there is a place called Calfheath Woods, and there's a chemical plant here with signs up saying strictly no mooring and no stopping. We've passed through here a few times, and each time we've had fantastic views of the herons that line the banks. Further hour and a half of cruising and we reached a place ominously called Coven Heath. Don't know why it's called that. If anybody does, maybe they can drop me a line in the comments below. But here the canal widens out for a bit and goes under the M6 before narrowing down to a place marked on my guidebook as very narrow cutting. This is an area where the canal squeezes right down. It's a cutting through stone. It has a couple of passing places, but it is very, very tight. We were really fortunate we didn't meet any oncoming boats. Shortly after you exit the very narrow cutting, Arthurley Junction appears. Here the canal turns sharp north and heads up the Staffordshire Canal. I pulled over to the side to allow Susie to jump off and go ahead and see what was happening, and it's here where our two-way radios really come on into their own. Susie was able to go up to the junction itself, spy the boats that were coming down and the boats that were waiting, and to relay that information back to me. In turn, it meant that I could hold a long way back so as not to obstruct the other boats on their passage. While we were waiting, this narrowboat, Pioneer from Norbury Wharf, emerged from the stop block. Now this is the boat that Susie and I had our very, very first narrowboat adventure on many years ago. It was lovely to see the boat, although only at a distance. It was about 4:30 by the time we actually passed through the lock itself, and despite the number of boats on the move, the actual junction itself was devoid of people. It was very, very quiet and eerie. We continued north from here for about another hour. 3 miles took us up to the Hunting Bridge, which was right out in the country, a very nice place to moor for the night. Well, that's about all we've got time for in this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and if you have enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel.